Okay, so what's your name, how to spell it, and tell me how old you are.
Yes, so my name is Brooke Garonzik. It's Brooke, last name Garonzik, Garonzik, and I'm 22 years old.
So tell me about what we're doing, like what is that? I see there are milk cartons.
Yes.
What's going on here? I mean, obviously we know what's going on here.
Yes.
I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, so right now, Chabad and Hillel, both Jewish student organizations, have worked with an Israeli artist who has set up these amazing installments to show just support on raising awareness on the hostages that are still stuck in the tunnels in Hamas's territory, and just talking about how they're still there. We have American citizens still there. We have Israeli citizens still there. There are all types of religions stuck there. We have people around the world who were taken from their houses, from doing absolutely nothing, innocent civilians. So these milk cartons represent back in the day when the only way to get news about missing civilians was through milk being brought to houses every day from the milkman. So this installment is basically to show that these are just everyday civilians who are living their lives, and they've been stuck in tunnels for a year now, and we just don't want them to be forgotten.
And earlier in another interview, you spoke about how you identify as Jewish. Tell me a little bit about more of that heritage and about what you feel about the political concept of Zionism.
So I don't think Zionism is really a political concept. It is simply allowing the state of Israel to exist, having one Jewish state. I am Jewish. I'm happy to say that I'm pro-Zionism. I think that Israel has the right to defend itself. I have family and friends in Israel who have severely been impacted by this conflict their whole lives. It doesn't just start on October 7th. I think that this new wave of the Middle East conflict has turned into something I wish it never did. I just want to show people that there are Jews out there who want people to feel heard. We want people to understand that we're humans just like everyone else. Just because we have a certain religion doesn't mean that we should be criticized for it.
Do you think the broader student movement in the United States of students protesting for those killed in Gaza, do you think they're trying to hurt Jews?
No, I don't think they're trying to hurt Jews. I think there are certain times when peaceful protests have turned into more, and it's become dangerous. And I think certain rhetoric has turned into harmful words that can cause people to feel scared. I mean, I'm in a lot of different classes. One of them is talking about the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, but the freedom of speech doesn't count when it comes to wanting to cause harm or use words such as death or kill or any type of personal harm towards me or something that could make me feel scared for my life. I think that's where the lines have been blurred between what is a peaceful protest and what is allowed to be said and what is allowed to be let go in protests and certain speeches. I think that's where it's hard to determine why we feel safe and why we don't feel safe sometimes.
It's interesting you mentioned protests because I've been looking at a lot of the history, and when we look at the Jewish history, and let's say if it was the situation in the Warsaw Ghetto, do you think peaceful protest would have worked? Because I'm just trying to understand, what sort of protest do you think is appropriate for stuff like this? Because as you know, yes, there are hostages, but then there have been devastation in the region of Gaza.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we're not minimizing that at all. We're not saying that those aren't valid feelings to have, because we understand that. Again, it's a war. We have people on both sides who have had devastating losses, and we don't think that one side deserves to live and the other doesn't. We think both of them deserve to live peacefully. That's all we want. So that's why we don't really protest about the right for Israel to exist. We just protest to let the hostages free. I mean, that's our main concern with this war, is there are innocent civilians who have been just completely forgotten for a year now. Like I said, there's Americans, there are Taiwanese, there are people from all over the world who have been stuck in this tragic, tragic war, who have no reason to be a part of it. And we just want people to realize that we just want everyone to live at peace, and we want everyone to feel free and live where they want without feeling scared for their lives every day.
Right. And I think one contentious part of the Jewish population here in the U.S. is whether or not Jewish identity and Zionism can be separated. What's your take on that?
Well, I can't speak for everyone because I have my own beliefs. I think part of it is that some people don't think that they're one and the same. Some people do. Personally, I think as a Jew, I want to feel safe somewhere. I mean, everyone has a homeland. That's just a fact. Everyone feels like there is somewhere they belong. And for me, that's Israel. And I think everyone should be able to live. We've got some sandbags getting ready to go down.
Yeah.
I think personally, everyone should feel like they belong somewhere. And I think everyone should feel like they belong in Israel. I mean, it's the only place in the Middle East that allows people to live freely. There's no dictatorship. There's a democracy there. I mean...
Wait, I thought you said you wanted it to be a Jewish state, so it would be like a theocracy, right?
No, the state is determined by what it was established as. I mean, I think that people should be free to live how they want. It's still, Israel is right now the only place in the Middle East that allows people to live freely how they want.
Do you think how about like people who live in Israel but they have I think there's like different license plates and different roads that people can't go to. No different license plates or different roads that Palestinians can't go down.
No, that would be once you cross the borders into Gaza. That's where Jews are not allowed in there. No one is not allowed in there unless they have some type of Palestinian proof that they are a part of what's going on. And Jews are not allowed in there. If they do, they would be killed, sadly. Anyone can come into Israel if they want, and they're allowed to live there freely. I just think there's a lot of propaganda and misinformation being shared since all of this occurred. And I think that's, again, what we're trying to show is that there's a lot more than what is being shown.
Do you feel that the humanitarian organizations are all kind of in on this, like kind of like slandering Israel?
I mean, I can't say yes or no. I don't know enough about that. I would have to do more research.
Oh no, I meant because you mentioned like misinformation and like propaganda, and I just really want to get down to what you believe and what you think is false and what you think is true, because I think that informs everything you do, right? As a Jewish person, as a student, as a protester. So if you could just give me a couple of examples of what you think was misinformation or propaganda against the Israeli people.
It's not really against the Israeli people. It's more of against what has occurred since then. I mean, Hamas has come out and said that they have emphasized numbers and they don't count civilians and terrorists as separate numbers. So the number tolls, that's one thing that I think should be cleared for people. And the fact that there is so-called a genocide going on. I mean, Palestinian population has only gone up since the Gaza Strip was created and given to those people who wanted their own land. In fact, I think it's now at 2 million, which I'm pretty sure it was way, way farther down when it first was created with only 500,000 people. So I think a lot of...
How many people have died from the Israeli airstrikes, like in Gaza again?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the death toll within Gaza? Do you know?
I can't say that I know because, again, Hamas has claimed that they combined their numbers and they don't count terrorists and civilians as separate
shit.
numbers.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, it's all fine. Again, we can't really control the weather, sadly, but we're going to take care of it.
Okay, and I guess my last question is, when all of this is, going to come to a head, of course, in 20 days, 22 days? I don't know how many days till the election. I'm just wondering, what do you think, Well, no, you said you voted already. Is that correct?
I did.
Do you mind telling me who you voted for?
No, I think that's personal information about
Okay,
who
that's
I
fine.
voted for.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. Do you feel that your influence, your decision to, for who you voted for, do you think it was influenced by the solidarity towards the Israelis, like when, for example, Trump went to and he put on a yarmulke too, and he did a remembrance on October 7th. Is that correct?
Yeah, he went to the Ohel.
Do you-
That's one of the holiest places for Jews in the world. It's where the rabbi who blessed millions and millions of people, and just listen to their thoughts. He's buried there, and a way of remembrance and speaking to someone you can believe in, and just having someone listen to your prayers. So the Ohel is in New York. And you go there, you write your hopes and prayers onto a paper, and you send it to the rabbi, hoping that your prayers can be answered one day.
Do you see that sort of support from Kamala Harris's campaign?
I mean, again, I think that's something that personally everyone feels they do or don't see. I personally have found that the conflict and how it's been addressed is something that I care a lot about. And I think personally that's something that's very important to me as what I see into my presidency of this next election. At the same time, everyone has their own beliefs and everyone is able to vote for who they think is the best. I mean, that's why we live in a democracy where we're able to have this election. But I think personally for me, the allyships and the wars going on and our involvement in them, that's something that I really thought about when choosing who to vote for.
Yesterday, 200 Jewish people were arrested in New York City, and they were demanding for a ceasefire in Gaza. What do you have to say about this sort of divide between, it almost seems like Jewish identity is split in two right now, where, people do feel it's a genocide, and then the other side feels, well, you never know because what you said earlier. So I'm just kind of wondering, what do you think is how can that be reconciled, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How do you think either they or y'all will get across and build a bridge and for deeper understanding?
No.
Or do you think it's too far gone? I just want your take on it.
I think, I mean, we all are hoping for the same thing at the end of the day. We all want peace and we all want this conflict to end. Everyone has different routes of figuring out how that's going to occur. And everyone has the right to believe different ways to end this conflict. But I think at the end of the day, we all just want the conflict to end, and we want everyone to be able to live freely. We want everyone to be able to practice whatever they want, be whoever they want, not feel scared for their lives, for who they are, where they come from, on both ends of the spectrum of what's occurring. So I think at the end of the day, we all just want peace in the Middle East, but everyone has their different ways of hoping for it. So I think everyone's allowed to believe whatever they want, but at the end of the day, we're all hoping for peace.
And are you an American or Israeli citizen?
I'm an American, but I have family and friends who are currently in Israel.
Right. And are they from Israel? Did they move there?
So they are American citizens, but also Israeli citizens, because if you have parents or grandparents who are born in Israel, you are technically an Israeli citizen.
But they're from like Maryland area, like same as you, or
all
did
over
they?
the U.S., yeah.
Right. And like.
But they have family members, aunts, uncles, cousins. They have grandparents who still live there from when they were born. Their parents are from there, came to the United States. Also
Maryland or like
Yeah.
Baltimore area?
Yeah.
Have y'all stayed in the same part of the U.S. or has it been like
No.
y'all moved around in the U.S. as well?
No, so there are Jews everywhere in the world, everywhere in the U.S. Part of this club that I'm a part of, Chabad, the Jewish Student Center, there are over 800 of them around the world. They're in almost every city in the world, that there are a big population of Jews, so that they have a place to feel like they belong and a place to safely feel like they can practice Judaism. So again, there are a lot of Jews around the world. There are Jews in America, exactly why we want to raise awareness for the American hostages.
Right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before I end this off?
Just that I hope this comes to an end soon. I mean, there has been deaths on both sides of the conflict, and there has been so much violence and separation, and I think that at the end of the day, we all just want peace. So why can't we just find a way to live live together and find that peace and that middle ground, because that's what's going to stop this conflict, is for everyone to just realize that there's something more important than religion and death, just letting people live.
All right. Thank you.